What's up, everyone? It's Roger and Aim here from the DisKingdom Podcast, and on this episode, we're going to go full spoiler on Civil War. I mean, we're talking full spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to know about it, this is not the episode to be watching or listening to. So, Abe, you finally got to see it because I mean, Civil War was so 2 weeks ago, but you Americans, you had to wait a little bit longer for us.
It's not 2 weeks ago. It was a whole week ago for you. Thank you very much.
It's Monday morning. We're on a different week.
It's not the whole week, though. It's a week and a day.
What was your initial thoughts of Civil War?
It was interesting. I mean, I did not expect Thanos to show up like the way he did, but it was pretty. Oh wait, sorry, that's the wrong movie. Civil War was just. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I don't really have like a definitive say as far as how much I enjoyed it. I feel like I need to see it one more, go around probably through IMAX to see it at its full glory. But I mean, my first impressions were, don't get me wrong, I thought it was kind of slow in the beginning. I was waiting, Crossbones came out, they did the little thing, and it wasn't that long. And then afterwards, it was just a lot of diving into the story, which is cool, and I appreciated it. The Russo brothers do a great job writing the story and everything, tying loose ends together and adding continuity to all the movies, but it just felt a little slow in the beginning. Then, finally you start moving into the conflict a bit, start feeling the feud going on. I honestly didn't get extremely excited until I finally saw Peter Parker being introduced. I'm not gonna lie, he's definitely the best Spider-Man. Toby, I loved Andrew Garfield. He was okay. He had his moments. He was more believable as a younger guy than Toby. But this guy is just he was perfect. He was geeky and like insecure and also sarcastic at the same time. I mean, it's just basically that Spider-Man you remember from the comic books. I mean, it was perfect. But yeah, no, overall, I mean, first impressions, I thought it was slow. So, I don't know. What did you think? First impressions of the movie?
As well as I love, whereas that I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I love the slower burn in terms of leading up to some of the event. You kick off with the big main fight because I'm trying to think. You kind of had that main fight originally in that they're trying to take that all working together, and obviously it goes a little bit wrong, which sets it all off. You then have the whole scene with Bucky being chased by the Black Panther. So the Black Panther kind of got his own sort of action scene, and then of course you have the airport scene, which completely is probably the highlight of the entire movie.
Absolutely.
And then you've kind of got the final battle between Iron Man, Bucky, and so there's almost like, to me, it's like four, and I it's that kind of weird thing, I think, of like how we had the airport scene, which was so massive, and then they had to almost go back to just being back to the three main guys again for the finale, which is where it kind of felt like in some ways like the big airport thing. It was quite hard for everyone just kind of go, well, okay, we're just going to leave you all behind because we're just going to run off and finish the story on its own. I think that airport scene was so massive in more ways than one. I think it was that final fight scene with Captain America had to be very, very different. It was a little bit more gritty, a little bit, he's there just duking out. It wasn't the grand spectacle that we saw with the airport scene.
No, yeah, absolutely. The airport scene was definitely phenomenal. I mean, that was the huge, war between everybody. Definitely awesome to finally see that Spider-Man was a part of it. They strategically edited him out for the trailers, which is perfect. Finally got to see Giant Man, Man. And Paul Rudd in the whole movie, the same character that I loved in his own movie in Ant-Man, he was just perfect in this one. I do want to say that it was finally refreshing to see Tony Stark finally act on that feeling he's had for like 3 movies already. he's had this guilt, building within of things that he's done.
Yeah.
And he just keeps talking about it, but nothing happens. He keeps talking about it, nothing happens. And then finally you get to see that he's even more vulnerable now because this lady comes up to him about, her son being killed in Wachovia. I was gonna say Wachovia. Sokovia. Wachovia was a bank. Sokovia. So you basically you see him feel that, and on top of it, him and Pepper are having issues, so she's not around.
Well, yeah, save on a Gwen. She doesn't do the other movie. She only does Iron Man.
Yeah. So it was cool to finally see him, take on that role of, being the guy who wants to prevent something. And because of that prevention, kind of detours him from the original, mission of the Avengers. And go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's trying to be a better superhero in his eyes.
Absolutely. And as far as the airport scene, I thought it was perfect. I mean, they paid some nice little homage to the comic books with with Hawkeye and Ant-Man, right in the arrow. You had, you get to see you get to see Black Panther scratch the shield and all that stuff. I mean, you get to see them. Spider-Man in all his glory was beautiful, and not to mention the Star Wars reference of taking down AT-AT. The fact that they took down Giant Man the same way that you would take down an AT-AT was just beautiful. It was just well done. And then like tapping into what you said, like basically during the fight, it also becomes basically a diversion. So Captain America and Winter Soldier can take off and finally finish what they wanted to do. I kind of like the fact that it leads to you seeing the rest of the guys in this prison in the middle of the ocean, and Tony trying to finally figure out what's going on. And like you said, the fight is different. It's definitely different between them three alone. Obviously, we had Black Panther follow along. It could have been 4, but them three, it got darker, and you finally understand this mystery behind the Winter Soldier and Tony Stark and his relationship with his family. I loved it. I definitely loved the way they did that. It really caught me off guard because I did not expect that at all. That reveal with the Winter Soldier. I mean, they started the movie that way, but they finished it in a way the same way, so it was kind of cool.
I mean, I definitely thought I think Paul Rudd definitely had that thing of every scene he was in, he hit this punchline, and he hit it. He made every scene he was in important. So you leave the movie and you go, he was great in it because everything he did was good. When he was Ant-Man and Giant Man, it all worked really well. And him being in prison and stuff, that seemed to work. And him just meeting Captain America for the first time, that was fun. Spider-Man was just fun in the whole and I kind of distracting a little bit in the whole airport scene because it was just like I feel like Spider-Man was so almost he really caught you off guard because you were really just like kick their butt, suddenly then you're like, I don't care about Captain America, but I want Spider-Man to win, and he did kind of pull it away, and he completely stole the scene to me.
Oh, absolutely. When he was winning in the fights and when he was losing in the fights, it's almost like you were still happy for him. You know what I mean? Because he was so awesome. I love the fact that we have a teenager playing him. His dry humor and his insecurity at the same time, and also his fanboyish side comes out throughout the entire scenes, and it's just perfect. I think like you said, he did steal the show and a lot of the scenes. But for the most part, it just leaves you excited for what's to come with him and his own individual movie. And even the way they introduced him, like, there was no need for the origin story. It's just like, it kind of brought his world into our current world. Like, hey, we saw this on YouTube. This is interesting. How did this happen? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Doesn't dive deep into it. Just jumps into it. It's great. It works. Yeah. He wants to recruit him. it's awesome. So
it's almost because I know like Batman vs Superman got a lot of stick for introducing some of the superheroes, but Vala using YouTube and stuff, but they kind of did it quickly. They kind of just did a quick shit. But like I say, we've seen him on so many different movies. They did it quick. He sort of said, "Well, I got bit," and Tony's like, "I don't care, whatever. It doesn't matter. We don't need to know."
You know what's funny? They did the same thing with Black Panther, which honestly didn't bother me at all. I mean, it went from his dad being killed to showing, he's always been the Black Panther. His dad was him before, now it's him, and this is what we've done in Wakanda. And the king has always been the Black Panther, and it was just cool just to see him just jump right into that role. There was no need for an origin with him, so it was kind of cool.
I must admit, I think Black Panther and Spider-Man, you walk out and go, "Yeah, I want to see those movies. That's it. I want to see more of this guy, more of these guys."
I definitely agree.
Yeah. What do you think of Zemo as a villain? Because he wasn't what I was expecting.
Are you referring to the guy who was manipulating everybody? What? I was kind of impressed because it was more of a manipulative enemy as opposed to one who has superhuman strength or abilities or even weapons. It was interesting. But I feel like they kind of did that like over and over again, like my family died because of Sokovia. My family died because of Sokovia. My family died because I get it. You're doing this because your family died of Sokovia. So what's the point? That's the only thing that kind of slightly bothered me. But aside from that, I kind of do like the way they introduced Bucky's story a bit more, showing how he was programmed per se mentally and how to trigger him to do it again. In the Winter Soldier, you don't really see them do it manually. They do it with like a machine or something. But this one shows you, back in Captain America's and Bucky's days, they didn't have that type of technology per se to do that. So I guess they were doing it verbally. So I don't know. It was kind of cool. I kind of think he was a slightly OP, a little overpowered. They made him seem like he was like conniving and more invincible than he was almost more I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say he's less human than you would think he would be, but he was a human, so it's kind of like it was interesting. So
but I mean, I kind of had this vision that Zemo, because I've seen it, Zemo in a few comic books, and it's played it. I was only playing him literally in one of the new Lego Avengers DLC packs recently, and he had a mask on and he had like weapons and stuff, and I think it caught me off guard with the fact that he didn't even become, he didn't look like a supervillain. He was just this guy manipulating them all. He wasn't, he never, he didn't have any powers. He didn't do anything. And then, you can see there, with Freeman going, "Oh, you didn't get away with it." And he's just sitting there going, "Yes, I did. I did exactly what I wanted." And he go, "Didn't I?" And it was just like, "Yeah, you did. You won." You get to the end of it and you're like, you actually won. You didn't. You did what you, that thing, it worked. He did it. He got what he wanted, and it worked. And I think that was the interesting thing with it.
Oh no, yeah, and he did wear a mask in the movie. He was just Bucky, but no, it is interesting that he is held into captivity. Like he didn't die, so it almost makes you feel like he might play a role in something in the future. Then again, there's just a lot of loose ends that were kind of tied together. Like we know what happened to Tony's family. We know Bucky's story a bit more. The only thing that's bothering me still, and you can tell me what you think about this, is the only loose end that we haven't really heard yet is I forget his name. What was the sergeant's name from back in the Hulk movie? And now he's
Thunderbolt Ross.
Well, remember in Hulk, in the Edward Norton movie, we had somebody else who decided to become, let's say it again?
General Thunderbolt Ross.
No, not him.
Tim Hoff's movie, the Abomination.
Yeah, so remember Abomination? Where is he? I expected him to be in this like jail cell that they pulled up from the ground. I was like, is he finally in the movie again? Like, no. So, that's one loose end that I kind of still wondering what's going on. But it was cool to see him back in this movie. Kind of the same way they brought back Howard Stark in Ant-Man and now in this. But obviously I'm going off of a tangent there because it wasn't that important. But as far as the way the movie went, it was good. I love the way they ended it with the two different little endings. Obviously, they're now in Wakanda. It sets up the story perfectly for Black Panther. We never got anything to connect to Doctor Strange, which was interesting. Usually they try to set up the next movie somehow, and there was nothing to do with it. Yeah. So that was one thing that I did notice. And finally, the one thing I did want to bring up is the very, very end, which we saw with Peter Parker. And he had that little thing shine up on his ceiling. Do you think that is showing us the Iron Spider to come? And I lost you.
No, I just think I just think it's more just giving him a little bit of power and he's got some tech, he's got some kind of interesting things with like what he's going to be doing. Because I'm kind of now looking at this because I'm looking here again, looking forward. We've got Doctor Strange next. We then got Spider-Man. Is it in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 after that? And so we've got the next 3 movies, which are not really part of the sort of the Avengers zone and then we've got, was it Black Panther? So it looks like they're very much taking a step away from Earth, or sort of from, well, maybe not so much from Earth, but from the Avengers kind of mentality, setting up some new characters, setting things up. So when they go back together for it, or that will make more sense because they're going to bring everybody back in. It almost feels like the Avengers side of things is over for a few years.
I was going to say we're going to have 4 movies before we get to see Black Panther's story continued, because we have Doctor Strange in November, Guardians of the Galaxy in May of 2017, Spider-Man on July 7th of 2017, and you have Thor Ragnarok on November 3rd. We don't get Black Panther until February of 2018, and that's before Infinity Wars begins.
It's definitely interesting to see. Kind of, to me, it feels like, with Captain America running off with the the Avengers are split in 2, but it almost gives, they've got a few movies sat in the middle of this to kind of distract everyone for a year or 2, and when they do come back together, they've been doing their own different bits and pieces. Because Doctor Strange is separate, Guardians of the Galaxy will be separate, Spider-Man, they can kind of maybe tie in a few loose ends with the Avengers of what happened, and maybe do a few flashbacks of what's going on. Maybe they can use Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit better to say what's going on with the Superhuman Registration Act for a year or 2. But yeah, it definitely feels like the Avengers side of things is kind of on hold for a few years while they just sort out a few of the other characters and maybe just add little bits here and there. I don't know. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, who knows? They might even add another movie in the middle of all this. They've been hinting about a Black Widow movie. So I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, even Captain Marvel doesn't happen until after the Infinity Wars. Yeah. So
I don't know. It's definitely a fun time. I think there was definitely, and I do love the fact that I think with Civil War, it definitely kind of got that overall reaction of good. I think like 95% people like it. Everyone, people talk. People got a few issues with it, but it's generally just been a very overwhelming kind of positive feel to it.
I don't even know what issues to have with it.
I think I'm just trying. There's literally the grumbles have been very, very minor. When you think of what happened with Batman versus Superman, I think that was the only thing. I think a few people were saying there was too many people in it because it got a little bit caught up. It's like Hawkeye turns up, says a few words, and goes back off again. Some of the characters were maybe underused, and they had tried to squeeze too many of them into it.
Really, I thought it was perfect, well balanced. I mean, what about the whole thing with Rhodey, being shot down by Vision? I mean, that was, you don't in the trailer you completely think it's the other guys, but honestly, it was friendly fire. It's like because
he got distracted by Scarlet Witch because they're teasing that as well.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. I thought it was very well balanced. You didn't get overwhelmed the same way that Batman versus Superman did with you bring in Wonder Woman and the way they did it and even Aquaman. I mean, it was just it felt a little unbalanced and slightly overwhelming. This one felt so balanced, maybe because there was so many people. But the issue that Batman versus Superman has that these guys don't have is that we've had how many movies to get comfortable with all of these? You know what I mean? These guys were meeting for the first time, so it's different. So yeah, I don't know.
Hawkeye, you know, he's been in what? I mean, Hawkeye's been in 3 movies. Ant-Man's already had his own introduction. You know, they can just bring Black Widow in. She kicks ass for 2 minutes, and you're like, well, we've already seen her movies. You don't need to do anything because she's already set up.
I mean, and they get introduced subtly too. Like, you know, you said Hawkeye has 3 movies, but technically he had more. You know, he was introduced in Thor. I mean, we didn't really get to see a lot of him, but he was introduced. You know what I mean? And not introduced the way Batman versus Superman introduced their characters. It was just like a nice little like taste of them. I don't know. I just feel I think it was a well balanced. I honestly think the fact that they had them all fighting in the middle of the movie. And not have that be the climax, you know, it was nice because then you move back to the story, like you said, towards the end, which was great. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, and you know, Tony's got Cap's number if he needs him for help for, you know, maybe if a big purple object from outer space decides to turn up, and he needs some help from a team.
You know what I love too? The fact that Captain America left him an old school phone, a flip phone, as opposed to Tony would leave you with like a smartphone. So it kind of fit his character too. It was awesome.
That is definitely a good thing. But we'd love to know your thoughts on so get in touch with us on the usual ways. Check out our Facebook groups, etc. Big thank you to Ethan over at swordapps.com and Magic Band Collectors for being a patron this month. And as per usual, big thank you to all of our other patrons, where every little dollar helps, you know, help support the site and help support kind of funding equipment and stuff and just sorting out bits and pieces for, you know, our channel and that. And again, thank you, Abe, again for joining me today on this episode, and we shall see you guys in another one. So we shall see you guys soon. Later.
Spider-Man.